Limp Bizkit is what happens when you change the gender of Laura Les of 100 Gex from woman to douchebag. They come from an era that is easily mocked and are fronted by the embodiment of the phrase, "Do you know who my father is?" if it tried to get into metal. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of slimeball stuff when it comes to Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit as a result.
Shag my friends tonight!
I'm not here trying to argue he's even overall a good person or douche. Yes, king douche. But also, look, again, I'm not here to argue he's actually a good person or anything, but being real for a second, I had a personal loss I had trouble processing and I needed to do something happy to keep myself sane, and that's partly this. But I am also here for
Limp Bizkit style! John Otto! Take him to the Matthews Bridge! Can you feel it? Oh yeah!
art can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. I would argue the strongest pieces of art aren't intellectual examinations of feelings, but things that are capable of making you, through experiencing them, generate a strong emotional response. Watch Darren Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream, and by the end, you are so connected to the overwhelming feeling of misery, it's almost difficult to continue. Turn the minimum wage machine, a machine that pays you minimum wage as you crank it, makes you process the mindless grind of many people's real existence as forced by our society. The first time War of the Worlds was played, due to a combination of timing and how well done the radio play was, as a live story, multiple people tuning in genuinely thought the world was being attacked by visitors from another world. When I was a child, my best friend had a GameCube, and we were, well, fucking nerds. So we played a bunch of awesome but obscure shit, including but not limited to Eternal Darkness. And at one point, he handed me the remote while we were digging around a crypt with relatively low sanity, a metric in game. And suddenly, the game turned the screen blue, put the word video in the corner in bright green, as was the style at the time, and pretended like the Nintendo itself had crashed for a second. And for a moment, not long, but for a few seconds at least, I legitimately thought the game had turned itself off. Like it had bent across to our dimension. Don't think of Fred Durst as a musician. Think of him as the equivalent of an 1800s clown, but with his expression focused on anger. See, when we think of clowns now, we think of either circuses or creepy knife-wielding horror movie villains, but in the era of vaudeville, clowns were artists who put on performances that expressed various things, ranging from sorrow to joy to despair to feelings of being fooled and tricked. They were borderline the pop musicians of their age. They made songs and short skits about life that the average man drinking a beer would connect to. Fred Durst is an anger clown in that tradition. He's not trying to make deep, multi-layered points about anger. He's helping you not process things for a minute. Whether or not Fred Durst is aware of his position is frankly irrelevant to his place in the art. The reason so many people still connect to this is directly tied to the fact that you aren't thinking about his lyrics when they are presented. They don't call it edifying rage. It's not enlightening anger. It's blinding rage. It's stupefying anger. Anger is a thing that short-circuits the higher levels of thinking in your brain. Truly encapsulating that feeling means not thinking about complex topics while you do.
You don't really know why, but you want to justify ripping someone's head off.
Lots of people would point to bands with, frankly, more intelligent lyrics and more capable singers leading them and ask, wait, why is that not anger incarnate? And I'd argue Metallica, Slayer, even stuff like Benighted and Archspire. They're in the area of anger and rage, but they have too many layers of complexity. You need a layer of anger to access the artistic expression that they are presenting, don't get me wrong, but their intelligence inherently makes them complex expressions of human existence rather than a simple expression of anger that you can paint your own feelings onto. Limp Bizkit is dumb, or at least the lyrics are. A lot of them are the kind of thing that if you even try to unpack them, you feel like you're losing intelligent points. I don't think anybody hears, "Hey kid, take my advice, you don't want to step into a big pile of shit," and assumes the lyrics were stolen from Shakespeare or Homer. These are not intelligent lyrics. I spent most of this video ranting about Fred Durst, and I should be pointing out that he's the clown fronting Westmoreland's incredible vision. If anything, I think the use of Fred Durst was almost a perfect distraction. The music is this raw, anger-connecting emotion, and the secret sauce includes the lyrics not letting you think too hard. But honestly, I want you to forget about both of them. Death of the Author was an essay written by Roland Barthes in the 1950s. In it, he discusses how any text is inherently interpreted by the bias of the reader. And if we want to allow text to have the true range of power and capability it could have, then we have to separate the words from the author who wrote them and the context in which they were written so they can become their own powerful, glorious thing. This is highly controversial. First of all, Death of the Author is a great way to miss important context and meaning in a variety of circumstances. I understand how you might not be able to separate, say, the context from a book about someone's struggle without getting mind comfortable with the possible outcomes. Barthes would argue that being uncomfortable is giving power to the author. Making the person who wrote the thing the scribe, not the author, means, at least to him, they do not have authority over the piece, or importantly, over you. Don't get me wrong, you don't have to do this, and often you either can't or won't for moral, ethical, or personal reasons, but in some cases you may find it can not only give you an ability to reclaim media that you find a completely unique or different meaning in, it can allow you to find important messages and meaning in places that you would have never expected to find them. I do not think Limp Bizkit is a high watermark for lyrical expression, but it has a place for a lot of people, and not merely because of nostalgia. It hits a very specific emotional note, and separating it from the author and even the literal meaning of many of the lyrics can give you a powerful emotional tool. My point here is not to inherently defend any band, even if this is a lukewarm defense of a specific act. I'm not sitting here saying you have to believe in the death of the author and separate the creative from the creation into vacuums of understanding, but I think it is important to remember art is not always about higher levels of thinking. Sometimes it's about eliciting a strictly emotional response. Sometimes it really is just about embodying a vibe rather than a coherent point, and frankly, if someone encapsulates a vibe, maybe just let them vibe. That is going to be it for me, though. Thank you all for tuning in. I really can't thank you enough. Big shout out to all the glorious names that you're seeing right now. These are the folks who are over on the Patreon, making sure I get to continue making this shit. Thank you all so much. Giant fucking shout out to Violet Riley and Molly McAllister, the members of my shout out gang. If you want to join us over on Patreon, that is the absolute best way to support the channel. We'll be back with our regular content in a week or two. I'm going to try and get this back up to an every other week channel. But that is going to be it for me. Stay dangerous, y'all. Keep each other safe. And remember, moral doesn't mean legal. And Stonewall was a fucking riot. Peace.